friends, and it's always a pleasure to have Angie on the air, and welcome to CBS, young lady. What would you do if I said, Angie Dickinson, this is your life? You've got to tell that story.
Well, I'd say bye.
You did that, didn't you?
I did that. I had never, ever wanted This Is Your Life. I never, years ago, I was still married to Burt Bacharach, and he said, tipped me off that they might be wanting to do it, and I said, I'll kill you. And so he said she doesn't want it. Well, then they pulled it on me, and I hadn't changed my mind, and I said, no, it's not.
Well, what we heard...
And I felt so bad, but I'm sorry, just to make sure I get this in, Ralph Edwards was absolutely wonderful about it.
He's a very gracious man.
He was terrific, and he said, you know, I wonder how many other people really didn't want this done to them.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know, Ralph, and I'm sorry.
The way we heard it was that Pat Sajak was in the studio as Pat hosted the program, and he said, Angie Dickinson, this is your life. And you said, the bleep it is.
No, that isn't. That came out a little later. I first said, no, it's not.
No.
And then a little later, as they tried to convince me to do it, I said, I'm not doing this show. But there was an adjective.
Yeah. It's a great word.
Because I knew I wouldn't want to do that. I didn't want that done to me.
Yeah.
And yes, it is a great word. And the way I would do that show is if they let me tell about all of the people that they might bring on, and I would say, you know why my aunt is great?
Oh,
you know why she's great? Then I would do it, but I don't want to sit there and have them do all that crap about me. I can't stand it. So
I'm with you, kid, I'll tell you.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing I'm with you on, and I think a lot of people who know and love you are with you on, is the book you never wrote. I mean, I know that people have come to you and offered huge sums of money for you to tell all about the people you've known in your life, and you just don't do it.
First of all, it isn't that huge a sum. I might reconsider if it were
Here
huge.
we are, quibbling over price again.
Darn Fairfax. And, yeah, but they did offer me a tempting amount, and I did try it. And it just isn't for me. Not yet, anyway.
Why not?
I don't know why. You know, I'm an instinctive person anyway. And when you feel something isn't right, the time isn't right for something, if you don't follow your instincts, you're crazy. That's that inner self telling you something.
What about your upbringing? And reading about you, you grew up in the Dakotas in the Midwest, huh?
North Dakota.
Okay, German family, Catholic kid, right? Maybe that's got something to do with your sense of propriety and privacy. What do you think?
I think it must have. You know, you're taught to be stoic, and you're taught to not cry, and you're.
What we have is what we have.
Yeah, and you're damn glad you've got it, and especially that the depression child that I was, and so I'm sure that's part of it. And Art Buchwald was wonderful with me with the book. He said, "What have you got to gain?"
Yeah.
And I would have to tour. You know, I think I would hate that more than anything. I have done so much of that in my life, because when I started out and I did get some movies to promote, it wasn't satellites anymore. I still had to go to 17 cities in 18 days. And it's grueling and tough. And I also am not a good salesperson. I'd rather sit here and talk about you.
Would you really?
Uh-huh, absolutely. Which we might just do.
Okay, and then you kept a diary for a long time, too.
I did keep a diary. Oh. I burned it.
Why?
Why? I wish
Why?
Why? Because it was very personal, and it was about some people you know. And it was after I got married and had a baby. My Nicky was there, and now I needed inside, what do I want to say, live-in help.
Oh, okay, okay.
And for the first time, I felt somebody could invade my privacy and read what was really written just for me to reminisce about. It was only like my high school diary. And then he said, and then I said, and we went here and we went there. It wasn't so that I could one day write a book. It was just for my own memories. and I realized that it could have been stolen.
Now, your mom and dad ran a newspaper back in the Dakotas. Your dad ran the paper, and your mom set the linotype, huh?
Yes, and made the telephone calls.
Yeah.
Once in a while, they'd let us call. Any news today? You know, they'd call everybody. It was a very small town. And they put out a weekly, and my mother was the proofreader. She's a great speller. She could spell any word you want. Any word. She was wonderful.
And they'd call up and ask for news, and did they have sponsors? Like, did they have ads in the paper?
They'd have ads, and they would print to the wedding news and the birth news and the death news and who was maybe coming to town, all the small town stuff.
And with that background, I mentioned you were a Catholic girl, so you probably went to the nun school, huh?
I did in Burbank when we moved to Burbank, but there was no such thing. And we had catechism class in North Dakota, but regular public school.
Yeah, what I'm getting to is when you got in with Sinatra and this whole crowd here in Hollywood, I mean, this is a fast track for me it was, a kid from Wisconsin. How about when you got into this and you're from North Dakota, you think, wow, what's going on out here?
Well, I didn't fall off the hay wagon into Ocean's 11. You know, it was
I understand
15 years in between. I mean, I was 10 years old when I came to Burbank and left North Dakota, so I was still being formed. And also getting in with the, see, I met Frank Sinatra on my first job, and I really think it's because of him I wanted to be in show business. He made it so exciting that I said, wow,
what was that
I
job
want to be a part of this, the Colgate Comedy Hour with Jimmy Durrani. And it was my first job, having won a contest, a nothing contest. And the atmosphere on the set with Jimmy and Frank Sinatra was so wonderful. I just said, and I was stupid enough to think I could fit in, thank God. And I said, this is what I want. And then I proceeded to go to drama school and start working.
You know, the pity is most of the kids watching this show, they have no idea what we're talking about when you say the Colgate Comedy Hour.
No.
It was sponsored by Colgate Palmolive, and they had rotating hosts, as I recall. Durrani did a week. Martin and Lewis did a week. I think Eddie Cantor did a week.
That's right.
And
I think Groucho Marx did some.
Yep.
I don't know who. Jimmy, I believe, was regular about once every 4 weeks or so. And I was usually on the show, and I did not. I had one line once. Usually it was just showy girl, you know, legs, and that sort of thing. But it was just a wonderful, joyful place to be. And I said I was bitten hard, but I also didn't want to be bad. I had to be good, or I wouldn't stay. I'd rather be
good bad
as an actress.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I mean, I wasn't just going to hang around.
Gotcha.
And so I went to drama school and worked my ass off for 4 years after work.
I'm just thinking about Durrani. Every night he'd say, "Good night, Mrs. Calabash," wherever you are. Huh?
He was so touching. He was so dear. That's why I love when they used his singing in Sleepless in Seattle.
Yeah, right.
Because he could evoke such a tear in you, and yet he was a comic.
We're with Angie Dickinson, who, by the way, will be appearing in Diagnosis Murder on this network this week. See, I know that it's on this particular network, right? The reason I said the other network is most times it's on the other network.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. The toll-free is up and running at 800-952-2788. Back with you and Miss Angie after this break. But on the toll-free in High Point, North Carolina. Hello.
Yes, hello.
Hi, David.
Hi. I just want to, Tom, I want to say how much I enjoy your show.
Oh, thanks, David.
Okay. I watch it every night. I work as a desk clerk in a hotel.
You, as a what?
As a desk clerk.
Oh, in the hotel.
Right.
Oh.
Right, and I enjoy you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I wanted to ask Angie what she thinks the major differences are between television today and when she was on. First of all, I just want to say that when she was on, I thought that things were a lot more decent and enjoyable where the whole family could watch, and now I just think there's a lot of really garbage out there.
Well, I think I say thank you. When I was on in prime time as Policewoman, I assume you mean, because
right,
I'm still on. So,
right.
Yeah, so, David, it's not like she's, you know, she wasn't in the reel last night of those who aren't here anymore.
Thank God.
Right.
But I don't really, it's just a lot freer and a lot looser, and it just still depends on the point of view of your people. If you're going to, we wanted to be a little TNA and a little bit of reality,
Right.
a lot of reality and a little TNA, and classy.
Right,
And
exactly.
so it just depends on what the point of Diagnosis Murder, and I'm not saying it to make a plug. They want to be like that kind of television.
Mm-hmm. Right, but don't you think that television would be a lot more enjoyable if they left a little bit to our imaginations? I mean, things don't have to be so blatant.
Well, you know, to each his own. It depends on what you prefer, and thank God there are a lot of people out there to serve us, and some will turn us on and some will turn us off. But it is mixed, and sometimes I do think they go too far. I agree with you.
Well,
but then I turn it off.
Yeah, I think today, too, that Policewoman in the shows of the 60s and 70s, plot development was given a little bit more time than it's given now. Now it seems like programs, it's a rush. You know,
it's all about money.
The plot has to move so fast because I think the producers are scared that the audiences will not have the attention span to stay with it.
Right, and it's about advertisers and money, too.
Yeah.
Right.
I suppose so. I don't know if the time amount is changed as far as how much time they give for commercials. But also, it's just that in time, now 25 years or 35 years, there's been so much product. You look at it differently, too. You've
That's
seen
true,
it
with
so
cable.
much. You're kind of jaded in some circles.
Right, with cable. I mean, like where I live, we have like 80 channels to pick from.
You got to be kidding me.
No.
You mean there aren't just 3 anymore? NBC, CBS, and ABC? What, there's 80 channels out there?
Well, yeah.
Well, no wonder the whole thing's screwed up.
You know, it's kind of nice to be older, but to remember when there were only about,
You know what was
about
so-
5 or 6 channels.
What was so great last night to me was when they brought out Carl Reiner and Mel Brooks to do the 2,000-year-old man at the Emmys in 1997. I mean, I don't want that to ever not be on television. I thought it was fabulous.
It's you know, great talent and writing. It never wears thin. But I agree with you, Tom, and the caller that they think the attention span is
So
too short, and I disagree. I don't like this. We've got to only have time for sound bites, and in the morning you get 3 minutes of a great doctor talking about some cure, and before he says what it is, they're on to something else, and I don't like that.
So anyway, David, how's the hotel business in High Point, okay?
Yeah, it's pretty busy.
Good.
All right.
I'm glad you called, sir.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, David.
I remember a time when I interviewed you at the Beverly Hills Hotel,
Uh-huh.
and it was just after you and Bert split,
Was it then?
about a year after. And I remember we did this in a hotel suite at the Beverly Hills Hotel.
I do.
And you were very fast because the phone rang in the other room and you said, "It must be Bert." I knew he'd call. No, you did
Oh,
say.
but I said it for a laugh.
I know you did.
Oh,
I know you did.
I hope you laughed.
No, I did laugh. I thought it was funny, and I thought, how great that she can make humor out of something that so many of us thought was so sad.
Yeah, I thought it was sad, too. And I have to confess, I torched for quite a while. But not anymore, thank goodness. But we were a good couple. And,
You were the
we
best.
had it good for a while. I mean, at least 3 weeks. It's tough to stay married, and especially 2 career people. No, it's tough even if there's only one. It's just as bad. It's just differently bad.
What's tough about it? Why is it so tough?
Because it's 2 individuals, both fighting for their rights and their own person. You know, I mean, they're a whole person, and yet they're connected. It's very hard, and you got to have more give than I gave. I think I was too stubborn, and he was probably too stubborn.
Do you ever see him? Ever bump into him?
No, not very much. We don't. Our lives don't cross.
But you do have a daughter, Nicky, huh?
Yes, I do.
And Nicky had to fight for her life, didn't she?
Nicky was born 3 months prematurely, and she has fought a good fight. She's terrific. She's out there now, and she's 31 already, and she's karate. Did I bring I've got a karate picture. She studies karate and loves it, and she's wonderful. Her eyes suffered from the prematurity, and but otherwise she's really great, done wonderfully.
But did she have a tough start? Was it
yes.
touch and go when she was born that early?
Oh, yes. She was under 2 pounds, you know. And so, yeah, she was not expected to survive, but she did. And they kept warning us all the limits. The first 72 hours, then the first 3 days, not 3 days, the first 72 hours, the first 2 weeks, and then the first month, all are in the danger zones. And once you get past the first month,
and like, would you have to go to the hospital and?
We went every day.
And look, and she's behind the plate glass window, and they're working on her.
Yeah. No, there's nothing to work on.
Just wait, huh?
Because she was fed intravenously, or not through the nose,